So, these days it's very good to be a Knicks fan, man. It's very good to be a Knicks fan. We riding high on a level where, I don't know, maybe since 73, right? We riding high on a level since maybe 74 has been this good because, look, I've been saying for the longest, it's never about the journey, it's about the destiny. It's never about the destination, it's about the journey. And we've reached the destination of winning the championship, right? And in my book, like I said, I'm not satisfied. I want to stay here. I want to stay on this level. You get what I'm saying? I want to stay on this level of championship expectations. I expect to be a champion, or I expect to be in contention for the next, 4 or 5 years, minimum. And this is the thing. This is the tricky part, right? Jalen Brunson turns 30 this summer. You expect for him to have 5 more years at that high level, right? Where, eventually the carousel comes to an end. But when it does, you wanna be able to go into the next era with the next guy to build around, right? So right now, what the Knicks did in the draft, and it confuses a lot of people, but I've understood this about Leon Rose, is Leon Rose with the draft, and he's done a masterful job of this. People don't even understand this. He's kicked the can. So when I tell people, when I tell All Ball and I tell the rest of these cats, right, All Ball TV and them, fuck them picks. It's not that the picks aren't valuable, right? Having the assets is valuable, right? Like everybody was mad that we didn't have enough to go into Giannis, and we didn't need Giannis. Much as I love Giannis, we didn't need Giannis. And this year, we didn't even bother to pick up the phone and call Giannis because we just won a damn championship. And what you don't do is break up a championship roster. Look, he's still a better player than Karl Anthony Towns, right? But when you look at it, is he that much better than Karl Anthony Towns and then give up what else you need? You realize that OG Anunoby and Mikal Bridges, you realize their value as individual one-on-one defenders, right? Guys that can take out the other teams or make the other team's best player play below his part, drop off. Okay? What the Knicks did in the draft was kick the can again. Traded out of the first round, got 5 first-round picks, second-round picks rather. You picked 24th. Okay, the car kid could have been, but the car kid ain't gonna crack your rotation next year. So why? It's like it's funny because we got Pacome Dadier, who we can't give enough playing time to develop, and yet he might be an interesting player down the line, right? But by the time he is, you're gonna wind up trading, either trading him or let him walk anyway. So it's like, this is what Leon Rose has understood. That if a guy's not really gonna crack your main rotation, then there's no need of having him on the roster, right? There's no need of using that first round pick to draft him. So therefore, you kick the can. The Lakers got what they needed. Their needs aren't completely full, but the car kid is someone they need. We kept trading back. And for those who say, the Knicks are just a penny pinching, again, the second apron, and knowing the rules of it, knowing the penalties that come with being a second apron team, the Knicks were smart to, and again, when you make a first round pick, he's guaranteed money on your roster for 3 years unless you trade him. So you trade the pick so you never have him on your cap anyway in the first place. That's what the Knicks did. They had the privilege of getting cash consideration, trade, etc., whatever it is, to every little it's like, yeah, the Knicks are penny pinching because we do want Mitch, we do want Shamet, we did want Alvarado, but not at the call. We did want Diawara. We signed him to a multi-year deal, but not at the cost of going into the second apron. And that's what the Knicks will guarantee to be in the second apron next year because of all the escalators on the contract. So it's like you don't want to be in it this year because then you're paid a repeater tax. So that's the reason why. And that's the reason why getting Mitch back to the Knicks, considering he's going to probably command around $20 million a year, maybe for 15 at the least. That's the least I can see him commanding on the open market. And the question is going to be his decision on what he want to do. If the Knicks give him 5 years, say $75 million, maybe 80 or 90 million, in that first year he fits in where he fits in underneath the salary cap, underneath the second apron structure, then we can keep him. But more than likely, other teams are going to give him more. Teams are going to give him more just to price him out of the Knicks range. This is what happened with Isaiah Hartenstein. So as much as I hate it, because I mean, look, he represents us. He was on the Knicks basically since the end of the Carmelo Anthony era, and that's a big thing because now we're here, and this is the championship. This is the Knicks. I believe we were contenders since 24. We were contending in 24. I do believe if the Knicks didn't have so many injuries, and again, I do believe we would have played Boston strongly in that conference finals at the very least had we beaten Indiana, right? Everybody's asking about Indiana coming. They were a 19-win team last year. There ain't no way getting one guy is going to fix everything that's wrong with that team because that's the bottom line. If you lose one player, and again, they didn't just lose one player. They had a bunch of injuries. They also lost Miles Turner. Again, Miles Turner was their rim protector. Miles Turner was their floor spacer. As far as offensively, they were a different team last year, even if they were trying not to tank. And it's funny, the new rules now, the new rules dictate tanking doesn't benefit you like that anymore. Whoop-de-doo. Oh, we all know that they fixed the lottery, so Indiana will be punished for losing, lose their draft pick, and be punished for tanking. But I'm gonna preface this. I'm talking about other teams right now because I do want to do a show on Monday, and I do want to do what do everybody else in the league need to do to fix their teams. And I'm going to talk really playoff contenders, right? Playoff level teams. Last year I did a video on the who are the contenders next year, the 10 teams that I thought could win championships next year. And for the most part, those 10 teams were in the picture. And so, like I said, it's probably what I'll try to keep it around 12 teams. I'll try to keep it around 12 teams, and I'll tell you right now. Obviously the Knicks, and I think all the Knicks got to do is sign as much as we can. If we lose Mitch, we really need to get a center like a Mason Plumlee type, a second string center, maybe a third string center, couple of big men to fill his void. We will never fill his void as far as offensive rebounding. But try to get the best offensive rebounding possible. Andre Drummond will be out there. Maybe he'll want to finally come home. I know he's born in Mount Vernon, raised up in New England. But maybe he'll finally want to come back. He's not the same player as Mitch, but he is a hell of a good rebound gobbler. And with the coaching, maybe we can coach some of his flaws out of him. He does hit corner threes, so that's an attractive option. Guys seem, again, Knicks needed a center. He goes to be Joel Embiid's backup. That was very strange, but so we'll see what the money. Like I said, if Mitch does leave, we'll see what the money, how we replace him. I'm thinking Andre Drummond, a Mason Plumlee type, Wow, Mason Plumlee is what, in his mid-30s now, right? I'm trying to think of other guys who, are backups, will command backup money, and that'll be in our price range. And maybe we can even keep Shamet if we lose Mitch. But so so the Knicks are one team. I'll stay in the East right now. Obviously Detroit. Orlando is not that far off. Cleveland. Toronto, and Atlanta. Those are the 6 teams in the East that I think have a legit. Miami is a dark horse for me right now. And I know, right? Getting Giannis, that team needs a lot. As far as, because I'm looking at as far as what on the roster right now, rather than what potentially could. And Miami needs a lot. Miami, I don't know what their cap is, what they're working with cap-wise. I know that Giannis makes the same money that Cat makes, and that's a lot. But trust me, for who Giannis is, his salary is actually pretty much a bargain. But he still does not fill their holes. Pause. He still does not solve what ails them, what they don't have. They need ball handling. They need three-point shooting badly. Okay? And they need three-point shooters that they can play, that they will play. They don't need three-point shooters on the roster because and play their best 5 players. They need to figure it out. They need to move Norman Powell maybe, or Andrew Wiggins. Because while Norman Powell is a pretty decent shooter, Andrew Wiggins can shoot, but it's not. You don't want to have your three-point attack surrounded by Andrew Wiggins, right? So those are the teams. I might say it's only 5 teams in the West. So if I do include Miami, then in the West, you got Minnesota, who just, wow, they're interesting. They're interesting, and I like to see what they do. They're like the Miami of the East, where they make some interesting moves. They made the other blockbuster. They traded Julius Randle and basically got nothing for him, other than some picks and some money relief, right? And then you go and get LaMelo Ball, who everything you hated about Julius Randle, you just get it with LaMelo at a different position. But let's see what they do, because again, you lost Naz Reid and Julius Randle. Now you're stuck with your main big man your main rebounder being Rudy Gobert. That's gonna be an interesting. That's gonna be interesting, to say the least. So you got a backcourt, which I don't know if those two, again, isolation, get their own shot type of guys. I don't know if they necessarily, neither one of them are great three-point shooters. Minnesota, again, they don't have a lot of great three-point shooters. Naz Reid and Julius Randle actually were 2 of their better three-point shooters. They lost without really replacing them at their position. So I get maybe you go some small ball with McDaniels at the 4, and maybe you play a 3-guard rotation because you did sign AU, who's a speedster. You did re-sign Ayo. And I'm keen to getting him if that's what's necessary. I'm keen to playing him, but again, you got a very fast, everybody gets their own shot type of deal, but you don't. And with Rudy, like right now, that starting lineup is Ayo, Ant-Man, Rudy, McDaniels, and obviously LaMelo. It's a little weird. They got a point guard. They got a creator, but that's a little ISO heavy. Like everything is gonna be over isolation. So Minnesota is in that mix. Obviously OKC and San Antonio. Um, I'll put the Lakers on the outside right now. The Clippers are done. The Clippers need to just break that up. Houston and the Denver. Houston and Denver. Houston hopefully getting Fred VanVleet back. It rights their wrongs, but I think right now in the West, the two teams that are ahead of everybody are obviously San Antonio and OKC, and those are the teams. Again, San Antonio needs one more piece. They need a bodyguard for SGA, and they need if you don't believe in Fox, then you need a point guard. Other than that, I think they got everything they need. Obviously, they made the finals. They could do it again. OKC they're a little, and I've said this about them. They're very deep, but they're very deep with the same type of player. And they did not have an answer for J-Dub being hurt. So they didn't have a second J-Dub. See, funny, they could have replaced SGA more than they could replace J-Dub. They also need to get some toughness. They also need a heart transplant for Chet Holmgren. Now, obviously, seems like he's going to be back unless they do something drastic. That's their issue. A lot of people didn't hear me when I said it. OKC's problem is they're very deep at the same position. They're very deep at wing. They got wings for days. What they don't have is great rebounders. What they don't have is very great big man depth. They got Hartenstein back. They actually got him back on they overpaid to get him from the Knicks. They gave him a pay cut to keep him. That's a pay cut. He's taking a pay cut to come back to OKC. All right, so they just gave him 3 more years. They tore up the last year of his deal and gave him 3 years, 75. When they signed him for 3 years, 88, was it 89, 87, something like that. So he's taking a pay cut. I want y'all people to understand, taking less than what you would have made is not taking a pay cut. Jalen Brunson never took a pay cut. He took a discount on his potential, and he'll even tell you this. I signed 1 year early, so I'm guarding against getting hurt. If I broke my ankle or something, that would have changed my whole deal, right? So the idea that he could have waited and take the max. Now look, he actually did hurt his ankle the year, you know what I'm saying? But he got in the playoffs, he was healthy, you know what I mean? So it wasn't an issue. He would have gotten that money had he waited. All right, I know I'm boring I'm boring y'all with the particulars of contracts and shit like that. But yeah, man, because again, look, I've been celebrating. I'm still got my Knicks championship shirt. I'm still rocking Knicks every day. I'm rocking Knicks every day. All right, hold on. It's still championship mode. It's still championship mode, all right? But it's business time. It's time to get down to the business of repeating. And I hope to be somewhat of a guy of explaining my understanding of the salary cap, the rules, and everything else, and all the moves that need to be made. Right now, the Knicks just need to run it back. Get a piece or two. Like I said, if we're going to lose Mitch, in a perfect world, we could bring Mitch back. But Mitch has value. Mitch has a value, and he feels the need. Now this is the thing. Buyer beware. Some team is going to give him 20, maybe 25, up to 25 million a year, right? And if he was healthy, he will be commanding 30 to 40 million. And we definitely will be out of that business. We definitely will be out of that business. Unless Dolan just took a change of heart and said, fuck it, run it back. But no, Mitch is not worth, as much as I love Mitch, he's not worth $30, $40 million to us. He's just not. He's going to be the backup center for most part, right? So he's just not worth that money to us. He's not worth that type of salary to us. Not as the backup center. He can be, but this buyer beware. If you're going to sign him to be your starting center, if you're going to start him, if you're going to sign him, and you're going to have a rotation of centers, that's great. But that's the issue with Mitch is his health. I mean, I think again, if Mitch was never never injured, it would be a no-brainer. But instead, yes, he has been injured. He has been injured. He is an injury risk. This is just what it is, unfortunately. And we cannot afford to make that deal. We just cannot afford to overpay him. We want him at our price. But what he's going to get on the market is a lot more than what we can even afford to pay him. And I mean, again, that's the idea is we won't know until offers start coming in for Mitch, and it's at that point and again, Mitch, get your money, take care of your family, man. This is your chance to, get your generational wealth. So no Knicks fan can sit there and say he's being greedy. None of that. No, he's earned it. He's earned what he's going to get. He is one of the best at what he does in the league. But then now we have to pivot over. I mean, get a big man who again costs less, can do some of the same things. I mean, a Steven Adams would be great, right? Get a big man who costs less, can do some of the things that Mitch do. Obviously, nobody's gonna he's a very unique player. No one's gonna do all of the things he can do, but we have to look at it that way. It's a business decision. Oh Lord, I hate car conferences. You can pull over and then get out and talk. Thank you. This is New York now. So, that's the deal. That's the main part. But yeah, I do want to get into, and I hopefully Hawk and JB and anybody else from the crew can show up, and we gonna fix the 12 teams. If you want to do 13 or 14, let's do it. I mean, the Lakers to me are outside because they need too much. They need a lot. I was saying if the Lakers got Jalen Duren, they're back in business. Jalen Duren is actually, Detroit can play around. Him going to LA actually makes LA that much better right off the bat. You see, that's how you got to look at teams, man. People keep thinking playing fantasy basketball in their head and thinking, oh yeah, Miami getting banned. So first of all, Miami gave what they gave up. They didn't give up. Obviously they got the best player by far in the deal. But what they gave up is part of their identity. Jaime Jaquez is a hustle and bustle guy. You're not necessarily getting that from 32-year-old, going on 32-year-old Giannis. You're not getting that from him. He'll be 32 come November. You're not getting those loose ball dives. Like you don't want Giannis doing it. You got too much invested in him for him to take charges and do all that dirty work shit. You're obviously not getting the 3-point shooting that Tyler Hero and slashing that Tyler Hero provided you. You're not getting that. So when you look at deals, you're looking at the talent acquisition, but you're not looking at what you're getting as far as what teams need to overall compete. And that's the thing that people get kind of wrong when judging deals. Again, on this channel, I challenge people to think basketball, think teams, instead of, again, everybody plays fantasy basketball and all of a sudden think the Heat are now in the top 4. No. They're going to, look, right now the Heat are going to start Piers Larson. I didn't know who Piers Larson was till I needed a guard for my fantasy team, okay? But Piers Larson is just one of those, when I look at him and I seen him play, he's just one of those guards who does things well, does nothing particularly great, but he does enough things well to kind of, they're gonna start him, and unless you're gonna start either Devion Mitchell, like I said, they gotta move Powell. They got too many forwards now. Powell's your small forward. Powell's not really a shooting guard, so you're gonna start him and Devion Mitchell. And to me, I just don't think that's a great backcourt. That's not a great backcourt in the Eastern Conference. That's probably one of the worst. And again, not because these guys are terrible players. They're just not. if both of them were better 3-point shooters, I mean, maybe if one of them was a guy that had the scoring capability of a James Harden, the other one was the lunch pail guy. They're two scrappy guys who now you're gonna have a front court of downhill high flyers like Giannis and Wiggins, with a center like Bam, who was just another lunch pail, scrap it out. Like, it's just too many of the same guys. They have a whole team of scrappers. You can't build a team like that. Unless you're going to tell me Pat Riley's going to throw in this old school defense. And again, I don't see anything off the bench. I really hope that people learn how to judge teams. Because we've gotten so much where we play, the super team era has us playing fantasy basketball that we don't seem to understand. See, the Knicks are a team where you say Karl Anthony Towns and Jalen Brunson are weak defenders, yet you've watched through the playoff run. Yeah, their liabilities were hidden, and some of them were turned into strengths. Like the fact that Karl Anthony Towns was stronger than Wemby. You've seen it he was physically stronger than Wemby. He could stay with Wemby on the perimeter more than Wemby could stay with him. He didn't force up his threes while Wemby did, right? And no one, as much as people kept telling me before the finals that they were just going to pick on Jalen Brunson, no one did. No one could, as I predicted. And then when you look at it, you have two wings who can basically take your two best players across almost any position. Mikal can guard 1 through 4, depending on the 4, and OG can guard 5 to 2, depending on the 2. So remember, defense dictates the matchup, not the other way around. Unless you throw pick and rolls and get people to switch off, well, again, the Knicks were versatile enough for it not to be held against us. And that's the deal. That's how this works. The Knicks were on, like, it was pick your poison. Who you want to hurt you on defense, on offense, and you can't pick on us defensively. The best thing you could do, the best thing you could hope for, is getting Karl Anthony Towns in foul trouble, or getting Brunson in foul trouble. But you weren't picking on them the way you thought you were, and that's what played out in the finals. That's how it played out in the finals. It wasn't what you wanted to be. So I'm gonna end here. Again, like I said, I'm still celebrating. I'm still riding high. I'm still rocking Knicks every day. It's not over for me. I know I did miss the parade. I wasn't in the town during the parade, but it ain't over for me, man. Like I said, but we trying to stay up here. And right now, everybody's scrambling to catch up with the Knicks. Oh, Boston is the other team. I did say Boston, but yeah, everybody's scrambling to stay with the Knicks. Everybody's trying to fix their shit. The Knicks are right now the class of the league. Peace.